document packages in DocumentsCorePack for Dynamics 365. This is kind of a continuation of last month's webinar, again, where we showed the one-click actions and kind of how to configure it. So we're going to be going over a little bit more in depth of the multi-part feature, which I did promise at the end of the other webinar. That's going to be the main focus today. As always, if you have any questions or anything like that during the webinar, you can use the chat. The chat's going to be in the right-hand corner there of your screen. I have some team members in here with me, and they'll answer any questions you have while the webinar is going on, so please feel free to do so. We also do record these webinars, and we'll send out a link to that recording along with the slides that I'm using today, so so you can reference those again. So real quick, just kind of want to jump into it and talk a little bit about the case for multi-part documents, kind of what they are, some of the requirements, solutions, and use cases that we normally see. The requirement would be basically that, let's say you need to generate more than a single document at a time for a certain business process. That would be like using, say, for example, you have multiple templates, you know, different terms and conditions, things that you need to like put together into one single document. Some of the problems that this does lead to is this redundant tasks. People are doing the same thing over and over again, having to remember all these things that they need to kind of generate. Manual consolidation, which would be concatenation. Let's say you can generate all these documents one at a time, but then you have to manually put them together using some tool or something along those lines to combine them all into, say, one PDF or one docx document. And then the other thing is no standardization and user errors. So that would be, you know, if you have several different documents and based on certain things, you're going to add certain documents to this package. You know, you can, you know, people make mistakes and they may generate the wrong thing and you may send out the wrong packet. The solution that we are trying to come up with here, we want to allow an easy interface to define these workbooks or packages consisting of various individual elements or individual templates or static documents. We want to provide a highly customizable configuration of these document packages for the users. And we want to standardize and simplify a business process and kind of avoid those user errors. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the popular use cases that we see for this. Most of the time, this consists of proposals. You know, proposals can consist of a lot of things: a cover letter, company profile, quotes, reference projects, terms and conditions. You know, those may be some things that, you know, you may want to include a cover letter every time, or you may not. You know, just to have these documents, you know, you want to put them together, but you know, some of these may you may use these some of the times you may not. So that can get confusing for people when to actually use those things or when to put them in there. Another thing that we see a lot is welcome packages for users. That would be like a combination of, say, a letter and then like product catalog, etc. And then also with legal forms, you know, you have different legal forms for different states or different countries that you may or may not have to, like, you know, put into these documents and combine this all into one big document for your users. So those are just a couple of the different use cases that we see. So what we've done is kind of expanding here on the one-click actions. I want to talk a little bit about how we go about designing these workbooks and document packages, and talk a little bit about the multi-part document designer, which is the tool that we're going to show you here today and show you how to use it. So some of the configuration options that you have in there, you can actually use different sources. So you can use the DocumentsCorePack templates. You can use static documents from SharePoint. You can pull those as well into these multi-part documents, and you can pull information in from notes. So these are both static, and then you also got your DocumentsCorePack templates. So you can pull that information from and combine these into one document. The UI options, as you can see kind of up here, this is just kind of a brief picture here of the UI, kind of what the UI looks like. One of the things is you can set these to say optional. Basically, it allows the user to define if a document should or should not be used, or you can just leave that blank and then it's always used. Selection, which you can kind of see here, it allows the user to select from basically a predefined list, so it gives them a drop down and allows them to pick the correct document which they want to merge in. And I'll show that to you here in a second in the demo. Conditions as well. Conditions, you're able to control visibility based on field values. So, for example, if you have German documents and or German templates and English templates, based on the user's language, you're able to only show your users when they're actually putting together these documents the German documents or the English documents. So very handy. And last is visibility, and define whether the user should see or not see certain options in this particular dialog. So once you get this all configured, if you're familiar already with DocumentsCorePack, this is the DocumentsCorePack dialog. This is then what this looks like. As you can see here, I've got a cover letter, which is up here, that's always going to be merged. Just a couple of optional documents here that I can click in here and actually add these documents into this one document package. That then, once I go through the whole process, then that spits out a PDF proposal consisting of this cover letter, the company profile, this quote, the long version of the quote, and the appendices. So again, this just makes it a lot easier for users to kind of put together these packages here. So today, what we're going to do in our demo, we're going to just do an overview of the Multipart Designer. We're going to take a look at a step-by-step configuration of a welcome package and how that's done, and then kind of show a few examples here. So let me go ahead and flip over here now to my demo system. Excuse me. And this is exactly how we're going to get to this configuration. So we'll just basically, what we need to do here is go on over here to our settings, and then under here we go to our DocumentsCorePack settings here. And this is the latest version of DocumentsCorePack. So we'll have here this tab, basically the one-click action tab. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and it gives you, your different entities that you have one-click actions already configured for. Now we went over this in the last webinar, so I'm not going to go over this in great detail. So if you're if this is your first time here, I'd suggest go back and look at the other webinar where I go over this in a lot greater detail on how to actually use how to create just basic one-click actions. So today, excuse me, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a, so for contacts, we're going to set up this welcome letter. So here I'm going to go ahead and edit my one-click actions here, and I'm going to go ahead and just create a single one-click action. I'll do so by clicking on New Single. All right, so I'll just go ahead and give this a name, and I'm just going to copy this here just to save some time. All right, and then we get right into the designer here. So again, it's a webinar multipart. I can give this as a description if I'd like, but here what we're going to take a look at here is how we set up these multipart documents. So here on the second step, for our template selection, we'll just hit our little drop down here. This allows you to the user selection or predefined templates or use multipart, and that's what we're interested in. That gets us into the multipart designer. So go ahead and click that, and this gets us right in here to our multipart document piece. So we have here, it's broken up into a couple sections here. We have our main label here. So if I was doing that, the first thing I'm going to put in there in this particular one, main label for this is the welcome letter. So I'll go ahead and throw that in there as the label. The type is going to be template type. You can see I can select from here what type I'm actually going to use. So I'm going to be selecting this. This is a template that I have on my system. Select right in there. Brings me to my lookup here for my particular template that I'm going to use. Got my template right here for the client contact letter. I'll go ahead and add that in there, and then I'll give it a nice description, basically, so that it just looks nice in my dialogue. Okay, And that's it for the first part. So basically the first thing that it's going to do is going to, the first part of my document, my multi-part document, is going to be merging this, this client letter. All right, the next piece that I want to put in there will be, let's say that maybe with this welcome letter that I want to either have the users be able to choose from a product catalog or just a small product flyer. So what I'm going to do with that is, because I want this to be in a pick list, I want them to pick either or. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. So what I usually suggest to do is when you're doing these kind of drop downs, that you just go ahead and set up, you just go ahead and click add here to add a couple of new document parts. So I've set this up, I've added 2 new document parts, and then what I want to do is I want to combine them so that I get the pick list. So I'll just check my little boxes here to select both those rows, and then hit there to combine the select document parts. This is what's going to give me my drop down. So this is going to be the, let's see, so the product catalog here. So I can just give that the label. And here what I want to do is I actually want to pull these from this particular SharePoint location. As you can see here, I've got my flyer for my documents, for my products, and also my entire product catalog in here. And I want to pull these directly from SharePoint and merge those into the document. So let me go back and kind of show you how that's done. So basically all I need to do is come in here, select the SharePoint URL, and then I've got my SharePoint URL here for my location of this particular document on SharePoint. Just put that right in there. Give that a label or description here, so that they know they're going to be choosing this. If they choose this option, it's going to be the full catalog. Then the next thing I want to do is another SharePoint URL, and go ahead and also add the flyer. Okay, so put that in there. And then just a simple description, letting the user know exactly what they're selecting. Pretty simple. So this, I actually want it to be optional. So I want the user to be able to choose if they want to even add these product catalogs or this flyer when they're in the dialog. So I'll just go ahead and click this button. That'll make it optional for the user. And that's basically how you set up this from this pick list. Once we run it, you'll be able to see it. So the next thing that I want to do is add possibly some reference customers. So I have 2 documents that I want to add. One would be, like, say for example, if it's US and Canada, I want to add reference customers from US and Canada. If this is a customer that's from somewhere else, I want to add like our references from our customers worldwide. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the one for the US first, US and Canada first. So again, just as before, I want to go ahead and give this a label. I'm using a template for this, so I'll go ahead and select my template. All right, and this is the US and Canada, so I'll add this and then give it a name. All right, and now what I want to do is I'm going to set up a condition for this. So it'll show just when the user, the record, if the contact's in the US or Canada. So all I need to do is go ahead and click my conditions. And this is just a real simple condition. So it's really easy to set up. Here I'm just going to select the address 1, country or region, and say US. Now I have multiple ones here, so sometimes in the CRM system I found that it's either US or USA, so I want to check for both of those. And then the final one would be for Canada. Great. So I have those 3 in there, and then as this is part of the multi-part, the condition types, I can separate those with the or. So I want this to be US or USA or Canada. I wanted to show and wanted to merge that particular document. So real easy to do for these simple conditions. Just to pick that, go ahead and click OK, and then that's done. For the next particular one, want to get those worldwide customer references here. Go ahead and kind of set that up again. Same thing. Reference customers worldwide. Again, it's another template, and just select my template here, and then add that in there. And again, I'll just call this one reference customers as well. So now I want to add a condition basically to this one. So I'll go ahead and click here. As you can see here, basically I'm looking for every customer that's not in the US, not in the USA, or not in Canada. And I don't really have that ability here. So what we kind of did in order to make this a lot easier and then keep this form as simple as possible, what we did was we allowed the use of a fetch. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can enable this fetch. So this will give me access to more complex condition statements. So how do I get this fetch out? Well, it's really simple. Let me just kind of flip over to here and just grab an advanced find if you're familiar with this option here. So let's see, I'm just going to do a new one. We'll select here the kind of set this up. Country or region does not equal, let's just say US. For the next one, again, it's also country or region does not equal to USA. And then select the country or region for the last one, does not equal Canada. Nice thing is, I can test this, make sure that it's bringing back everything that I wanted to bring back. Once I have that all set up and I'm getting the results that I want, I just come back to my advanced find and then just click this button here to download this fetch XML. It then downloads, opens up for me. So I had this fetch, didn't have to basically do it myself. All I need to do here is just copy this fetch out and then go back here to my designer and then just paste it right in here. So basically, once this kind of goes through, this fetch is going to run, and it's actually just going to run just like the advanced find, and it's going to check the particular record that I'm on and make sure that the country is not the US, USA, or Canada. So it's simple. So this just allows you to do really deep and complex conditions. So it's a really handy tool. So yeah, so just as a reference, if you're just doing the simple conditions, highly suggest just use our simple condition generator here. If you're wanting to do more complex things, like does not equal or begins with or etc., go ahead and use the fetch, and it'll bring back what you want. So once I'm done with this, this is just the multi-part that I went ahead and set up. Go ahead and save it. Okay, and then flip over here to my contacts. Go ahead and I'll just select a contact here. Hit my create document button. Brings up here's my button that I just created for the one-click action. I'll go ahead and select that. And there we go. So it's letting me know that, hey, I'm going to merge together this welcome letter, the product catalog. I can do the full catalog or the flyer here with the drop-down. Say, for example, here I'm just going to pick the flyer. And then it's got our reference customers from US and Canada. It's going to pull those in there. So there we go. It's the worldwide customers are not shown because this particular contact is from the US. Once that's selected, go ahead and click next. Again, this is stuff that you can actually configure. I would highly suggest going back to the last webinar that we did. Kind of shows you all this, but you can show and hide these as you like. Didn't do that here just because I just wanted to show off the multi-part piece. But once we have all that selected, I'll just go ahead and click next, and then it goes into the document generation piece. So basically what it's doing is it's pulling everything together, pulling the template, merging that, pulling the one document, the flyer that I selected from, it's pulling that from SharePoint, it's pulling the reference documents, and then it's combining it all into one simple PDF. So I'll go ahead and open that up just so you can kind of see what it looks like. There we go. So we have our contact letter here, then our flyer for our particular for our products here, and then our list of reference customers here. So you can see it's a pretty powerful tool because it keeps kind of everything in one place. Your users do not have to, you know, they know exactly what they need to merge. They see it all in front of them. Keeps everything nice and handy. Some other things that we've used this on, basically, let's see, for example, quotes is a pretty good one. Just go ahead and select this, select a quote, create the document. As you can see, you can do multiple configuration pieces here. Here, what I want to do is I want to set up a proposal package. It's going to include the cover page, possibly customer references and quote. So I can select that. Cover page is always in there. I can do, you know, with my introduction here, I mean just my customer reference info. Here, this is a, you know, a select field here. I can do my my customers from the U.S. or Canada, or the rest of the world here. So I'll just do U.S. Canada. And here, just this is, you know, just different reference customers for our particular product. Let's say this person wanted some information, these reference customers for telephone integration, wanted also the piece for group calendar. Then also I can include the quote, and then lastly it includes as terms and conditions. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click next. Reads everything out. I'll just do a PDF just for simplicity's sake. Say next. Takes all those things that I've selected, ignores the ones that I did not select, merges them all together into one document again. So again, really powerful tool, and just it's a really nice piece. One of the things that you can definitely do with this, one of the things that we found is it kind of helps reduce, you know, the amount of templates that you have, because you're able to cut the templates into different parts. And use the correct template for the correct thing. So I can just kind of open this up, and you can see here, got my cover page, my my letter, and my reference customers for DocumentsCorePack, my reference customers for telephone integration, also my reference customers. Oh, got a lot of reference customers, but just you can see the different document parts here. And if I keep scrolling through, there we go. I've got my quote in here, and then lastly our terms and conditions. So, you know, pretty powerful tool to put all these things together, you know, into one place, into one document, combine everything into one document. And the ease of administration of this is really simple. You know, if these terms and conditions ever change, I don't have to go in and change a lot of templates to reflect the new terms and conditions. I just change the terms and conditions once, and then it's merged into this particular document. Okay, so let me go ahead and finish. I'll just cancel this out. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the roadmap, some of the upcoming features for this. One of the main things is multi-select option set. This basically being able to select one or more options in a pick list. You know, in that last example that I showed, you know, I had the different reference customers for our different products. You know, with this multi-select thing, I'll just have basically a list. I'll be able to pick, you know, the DocumentsCorePack one, the telephone integration piece, and the group calendar piece, and multi-select those, and then those will all be actually merged into one. So I won't have all that, all those reference document pieces taking up space. Next would be to be able to enable the users to basically reorder the items. So basically reordering the how the documents, like what order these documents are generated in. You know, this is going to be naturally an admin setting, so you're going to be able to allow your users to do this if you so wish. And the last thing is visibility rules. And visibility rules, what I mean by that is the one-click action buttons will be visible. You can make those visible or not visible based on security rules. Okay, so those are some upcoming features to this. Availability for this right now for on-premise, it's available for DocumentsCorePack version 2017, version 144. And online, there's an update available. You just go online and update your service instance. 2017 143 or higher on all instances will have this feature in there. So yeah, I want to thank you everyone for coming today and checking this out. If you have any questions, naturally you can find us on the web at www.mscrm-addons.com. We have a help center. If you go to our website, hover over the support tab, it'll take you right to support. We have live chat, email, etc. And also our blog. Don't forget to check that out. That's just on our main webpage. Hover over the support tab. You'll see blogs. There's a lot of tips and tricks on there. Usually if we keep that there just so, if there's something that you need to find or you have a particular question, you can kind of look there first and see if there's a blog article that will help you on that. But again, don't hesitate to contact us if needed. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions and invite Michael in. Michael, are you there?
I am. Hi, Clint.
Hey, what's going on?
All good. Well, thank you. It was a good presentation. We had some questions.
Okay.
The first one I'd like you to maybe point out is there was a question about availability of this on the client version of DocumentsCorePack.
Oh, for the client's version, it's definitely not something that is available for the template designer or what we're calling the template designer or the DocumentsCorePack client. Yeah, it's basically just server-based only. We only have the ability to kind of put all these things together server-based. I don't think there's actually a setting that you could do that in the client, and it's not planned for the client as far as I know, Michael, unless you know something else.
Yep. No, that's exactly what it comes down to. So basically the configuration as well as the UI, this all sits inside the Dynamics client, and we don't have any chance yet to push this UI in the client version. So this is something that is not planned, and I don't think will come in the client version as we try to bring more and more customers to go server-based anyway. That being said, with a question about the one-click action webinar, I answered that briefly. So basically all of our webinars are available on our YouTube channel, but also there's a webinar page on our website. I put it in on the link. I will also include it on the follow-up email that is sent to all of the participants after the webinar.
Right.
Then there was one question.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, if you go to our webpage and hover over the support tab, you'll see the little drop-down will come down. You'll see webinars. You can click on that, and that'll take you also right to it. All our webinars are available there that you can look at. So.
Okay. Then we have one question from Cohen, and I can't pronounce the last name. They would like to give the standard selection to the user, but in some exceptions, he might want to select a different one.
That's tricky. Yeah, because right now,
okay, now asking because he just said it on the chat. He's basically looking for the optional option, but he wants to set a default whether they are included or not. Now, that's a good point, I think.
That's an excellent point, actually. Yeah, because right now it defaults to off. So that's definitely something that I think we'll just speak to the devs about to maybe possibly give you that option. And we'll put that on the roadmap, okay, as well, because that's actually I think a pretty good feature. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so too. Yeah. No, it's we'll definitely put it in a roadmap, and I'm quite sure this is feasible and will go in one of the next versions.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
Christian from Germany just asked, is it possible to include a document from a file system only from SharePoint?
Yeah, so that's actually a good question. Right now, we only have the possibility to access those from SharePoint and the annotation fields inside of CRM. I don't think we're able to pull it from a file system because we wouldn't have from the CRM online. Well, I think it would be a possibility. It definitely also would be something that we would have to speak with the devs about. I can't really speak to that. Michael, maybe you have you know why that we wouldn't be able to do something like that, or would we be able to do something like that?
I mean, I agree with your concern with respect to the difference between on-premises and online and access to the file system. So it
Right.
would have to be kind of a public file system that anybody can access to allow for that. So this is kind of technical considerations we have to keep in mind. So it's not planned. If I would say if there's a need, we could always discuss a customization of our solution.
Right.
As of now, there's no immediate plan.
I could see it working easier with like OneDrive, probably, you know, like with OneDrive, but not sure the file share. I don't know. There'd be probably a lot that would go into it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I mean, what you could do is take your PDF and, like, for example, you could attach it as a note. If it's just a static PDF, you could attach that as a note inside of your CRM system, and then reference that note just like how we kind of reference the SharePoint piece. Like, so for example, like, let me just go back here real quick, and go back to here, and I'll just do another quick one here. So if I say I want to, you know, I'm going to use a note, then basically it gives me a lookup. Naturally, this is bad, but gives me a lookup to all my notes that I have here inside of CRM, and you'll be able to actually attach that document, that PDF, from this annotation field. So
yep.
You kind of have to, you know, maybe do a custom entity or something like that if you're going to just store it there, and on that record in the annotation field, put that in there in a good description. But you should that probably be the easiest way to pull it. You know? Or Michael, do you have? Yeah. Okay.
Nope. That's I think if SharePoint is not used, the notes is right now the only option to load PDF files as part of the overall package. Right. We can do static Word documents that can be uploaded as DocumentsCorePack templates. Static, I mean they don't incorporate any fields from the Dynamics record. But for PDFs, I think right now you need to go the note route.
Yep. Yeah, agree. So, okay. Any other questions or anything like that? There we go. Wait,
typing. Let's wait for another second. There was one question about the Excel format. If that's supported as well.
Unfortunately, it is not. And I think every time that's an excellent question, and something that I think we need to bring up, because usually when we do have a DocumentsCorePack piece or talking about it, you know, that question does come up a lot. So it's definitely something that we should probably look into. That's just my opinion. You know? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely something we did already discuss and is kind of on our roadmap. So basically, with that capability, with Excel, we mean that we will try to allow or include a conversion of the Excel file to PDF and then make it a part of the overall document. What we will not support, though, is also merging values inside the Excel sheet prior to the PDF conversion. But basically, including PDF files is definitely on our radar, and we will tackle it rather soon, I hope.
Right, and I think Christian has a follow-up here. Is talking about a quote which was generated in SAP and combined with documents from DCP. So that I take it that SAP quote would be stored on a file share somewhere. And that's
I can see the use case. As I said, the sources right now need to be either the uploaded DocumentsCorePack template, so that's also a custom entity that hosts the document as a note in the end, notes generally, and SharePoint. So you would have to kind of find a way to auto provide the SAP created quote to this Dynamics instance so we can grab it. Or we can do this customization for a file share. But I don't know, then you need a link kind of from the record inside Dynamics to the quote in SAP to know where to look. And it can be very complex and hard to define a generic interface. Like
that. Agree.
So I will follow up with you, Christian, on those questions so we can discuss and go from there.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to thank everybody for joining. Michael, thank you for jumping in with helping out with the question and answer. Really appreciate that. And just be sure to join us on our next webinar that we're going to be doing. We don't have a topic for it yet, but you should be getting an email. We do. Oh, okay.
We don't know yet. It's another. The next webinar will be again about DocumentsCorePack. So we are pushing a lot of features right now, and this will be an interesting one. It's about parameters, and this sounds maybe odd, but basically we will allow to, in the dialog or in this user wizard that guides the user through the document process, to define parameters that are then passed into the document that is created. This can be prompts that are, so a user can type in a line of text that then shows up inside the document, or maybe just yes and no statements and things of that nature. So this will be it's kind of a hot feature I'm really looking forward to, and will be part of the next webinar in May.
Excellent. Well, good deal. Thank you everyone for joining again, and looking forward to seeing you next time. And everybody take care and have a